here is Matthew Dowd. All right. He and I had some skirmish a long time ago. He's one of those guys who like really fancies himself a Christian and also calls himself a feminist, but is constantly attacking women if they're on the right. And actually conservatives, like, is that feminism? I don't know what that is. And he's dating Maria Shriver. That's his girlfriend. Okay. I guess that he thinks that makes him something special because he was on MSNBC right after Charlie got killed. It was literally moments after we found out that Charlie was shot on September 10th. And here is what he said. It was SOT 25.
I emphasize what you just emphasized. We don't know any of the full details of this. We don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this. But following up what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
That is so infuriating. As Charlie, as far as he knew, is lying there struggling for his life with an assassin's bullet in his neck. The news that he had died had not yet hit. That's where he went. Brought it on himself. Hateful words lead to hateful actions. Now, let me ask you something. In his case, Matthew Dowd's case, and by the way, in the case of NPR, which just this morning, as you know, I listen to these podcasts, so you don't have to, their news morning program. Just this morning, in talking about the Charlie eulogy, he was a divisive figure. I quote, a divisive figure, Charlie. Now, do you think if, God forbid, Rachel Maddow had something terrible happen to her and NPR was talking about a service in her honor, they would refer to her as divisive? You think that would be the word that they use to describe her or anyone on the left? Jen Psaki, Joy Reid, Joe Scarborough, any of them. Do you think that they would say this is a divisive person in what's essentially the obit following their memorial? They only do that to people on the right. How is he divisive? Because he had views different from what the NPR people have. Views different from what Matthew Dowd on MSNBC had. That doesn't make him divisive. Maybe it's your insanity on the left that has made us have to call you out in very frank, honest, and possibly unpleasant for you terms that you now have to call us divisive. That, like, what's so divisive about what Charlie was saying about gender was true. What he was saying about race was stop dividing us by it. This is a fake social construct. You're the divisive ones who are making whites take endless implicit bias training and telling white boys they're born with original sin and telling black boys that they're less than and society doesn't love them or value them the same as they do whites. You're the divisive ones. Stop saying that. So Matthew Dowd takes Charlie's alleged divisiveness to the point of the hateful words. You know where those are going to lead. And appropriately, he gets fired by even MSNBC, not because they were really offended by what he said, but because by even their standards, they realized things had gotten too hot. They had to look like they were upset. So they let him go. So where does he go? Karen Attiah has to go to Don Lemon and Jim Acosta. I mean, you know you're at the bottom. And Matthew Dowd goes on with Katie Couric. Here's what happened. Watch.
Now, if you watch any of their shows in the last 24 hours, all the shows are talking about how, like, this is awful for America that Jimmy Kimmel was, indefinitely suspended. And isn't this awful for America? And it's a chilling thing for the First Amendment. And they're saying that on every platform. Not one person has said anything about me. Not one person on that network has said, they've all gone out of their way to say, isn't this horrible what happened to Jimmy Kimmel? Isn't even including Morning Joe and Mika, who went after me after the show, basically saying they were glad I was terminated. And now today they're talking about how awful it is for our country that somebody like Jimmy Kimmel can't say what he said and he is indefinitely suspended, and not an iota about what their employer just did to another employee.
Did you hear from any of the anchors or correspondents?
Some of them. Yeah. I mean, and all of them, all the ones that I heard from were like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is awful. I can't believe this has happened. I can't believe this has happened. This is horrible. This is horrible. It doesn't say good things about our company.
Once again, here's Matthew Dowd. What about me? Why isn't anyone asking about me? Poor me. And he's 2 steps away from saying, how come I'm not getting invitations to go on Good Morning America to talk about how Charlie brought it on himself? It's crazy. He's so sad. He's jealous of Jimmy Kimmel. He's like, why are people talking about Jimmy Kimmel? I was the OG person fired for insensitive Charlie Kirk remarks. I should be able to say whatever I want, no matter how insensitive, no matter how politically charged the atmosphere. That's my rule. So Katie Couric goes on with Matthew Dowd as follows, Hot 24.
I also think about the chilling effect, Matthew, this has on other commentators who are on MSNBC, who are going to be careful what they say, be less critical of the Trump administration for fear something like this happens.
Well, let me speak to that, because I said that when they were terminating me. I said, you guys understand what this is going to do? That, what this will do, this will cause people in the building to do. And they were like, decision's been made. And in the aftermath of this, I've had any number of MSNBC, and won't mention names, any number of MSNBC people call me and say they're reluctant to now invite certain guests on air. They're reluctant now to say certain things that they would normally say. They're reluctant now to sort of book programming in a way that reveals what they want to reveal because they're scared.
I'm really surprised at MSNBC. I got to be honest with you, Matthew, the way they handled it. And it is really bizarre and surprising and disappointing. And I'm sorry this happened to you.
Oh, my God. What are you saying? The marketplace is working perfectly. This is exactly what should have happened. He said something absolutely wrong, insulting, and incendiary as the powder keg was exploding, as a very prominent conservative 31-year-old was dying, and they knew it. Of course he needed to be fired. What do you mean you're surprised? I'm not surprised at all that MSNBCers are now feeling reluctant about booking their favorite people, many of whom would sound just like Matthew Dowd. Of course, you're all insensitive assholes. You're going to need to be more careful. That's right. That's exactly right. The message you received from the firing is spot on. That's crazy talk between those two. There's no ambiguity. He had to go. Literally, it was a no-brainer for even MSNBC. They knew they had to do it. And the two of them out there, I can't believe it. Oh, it's chilling of the free speech. Oh, my God. When inflation jumps, when you hear the national debt is over $37 trillion, do you ever think maybe now would be a good time to buy some gold? Well, it would be. Whether as a hedge against inflation, peace of mind during global instability, or just for sensible diversification, Birch Gold Group believes every American should own physical gold. So they created something special. And through September 30th, if you're a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is going to offer you a rebate of up to $10,000 in free metals on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, request an info kit just right now. Text MK to the number 989898. Plus, Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into one in gold. And you're still eligible for a rebate and free metals of up to $10,000. Make right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate of up to $10,000 when you buy by September 30th. Text MK to the number 989898 to claim your eligibility and get your free info kit now. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.